Hey guys, Samurai here, back in with another episode of the Pokemon Sword and Shield series, Crown Zenith. In the last episode, Ash has just finished fighting Lucas in the Galar League Finals, and they ended their match in a draw. Right after this, Chairman Rhodes finally unleashed his plan. Leon, incredibly angered by Chairman Rhodes doing it so soon after the league, immediately heads down to Hammerlocke, not even talking to anybody. When Ash and Lucas finally get their Pokemon healed up and ask where Leon went, everyone announces that he went to Hammerlocke in order to see what Chairman Rhodes was doing. This is when a bunch of Dynamax bolts go out in rapid succession. Since all the gym leaders went back to their own towns, as there have been reports of Gigantamax and Dynamax Pokemon spawning there, the only real people here to defend Winden are the gym challengers. Luckily, Chase, Bede, and Hop say they'll handle Winden, saying that they're strong enough to handle the Dynamax Pokemon here. This is, however, when Elaine, Marnie, and Peonia said they're going to head to South Galar, as there's been reports of a bunch of Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon there, and nobody's really there to defend it, as Milo, the closest gym leader to there, is still quite a ways away from there, so that's where they head. This leaves Ash, Lucas, and Grintos to head down to Hammerlocke to help and support Leon. After the six leave, this is when Chase, Hop, and Bede see a Pokemon they've never seen before. This is Zamazenta, and he's with Shieldbert. Shieldbert says that they'll need to get past him if they want to stop all these Dynamax Pokemon, saying that the Darkest Dawn will be them proving that they are the rightful kings of Galar, and the beasts you see before them are nothing but fakes. Chase, Hop, and Bede are all kind of mad at this, saying that nobody should be doing this and this is wrong. Shieldbert gets even more mad and challenges all three of them to a battle. This is when the battle between Shieldbert and the boys take place. Meanwhile, on the south side, this is when the girls come face to face with Swordbert and his Pokemon being Zacian. He says the same thing Shieldbert said about this Pokemon being a fake and them proving themselves to be the real kings of Galar, as he wanted to take on all the Dynamax Pokemon here, and that was their plan originally. However, they notice that they can't find the rusted sword or shield. This is when Elaine remembers something familiar was like that in Ash and Lucas's bag one time she looked at it. She knows this, but she doesn't tell anybody else. Meanwhile, the battle between Swordbert and the girls happened. This is when Ash and Co finally make it to Hammerlocke. Raihan is already there, but he's already dealing with a bunch of Dynamax Pokemon outside of the wild area, so he can't really help Leon in this case. This is when we can flash to Leon, as Leon is standing down a ginormous Pokemon, this Pokemon being Eternatus. He's using his three Pokemon, being Charizard, Aegislash, and Haxorus. They're all giving a valiant effort, but this Pokemon is something that they've never seen before, as Eternatus, now that it's finally done being attracted to the Neo Ultimate Weapon, is now massive in scale and humongous in size. The Dynamax phenomenon in normal Pokemon nearly triples as power spots start appearing everywhere. This is when we can go to Spikemuth. This is when Piers, noticing that a Dynamax spot has opened up, but a Gigantamax Toxtricity, like the one that appeared before, is outside again. This is when Piers reveals a Pokeball. We've never seen him use this Pokemon, and he unleashes his Tyranitar, a Pokemon we didn't know he actually had. This Pokemon ends up being able to Dynamax due to Piers not really using his Dynamax band often, but he finally gets to use it now. Piers has an intense battle with this Toxtricity, but Tyranitar does have a slight type advantage and is able to win the day. However, the Dynamax phenomenon stays. Piers is happy, but he's also incredibly torn up. He ends up heading to Hammerlocke in order to help Raihan, as he knows he's partially at fault for this. Raihan is too, to an extent, so both of them help each other fight off wild Pokemon and keep the city safe, as he knows that Spikemuth doesn't really attract a lot of wild Pokemon, so it'll be fine. This is when we can go back to the boys against Shieldbert, as the boys are giving a valiant effort. But Infernape, Rillaboom, and Hatterene are all able to make a difference. This is when Hop comments that Bede isn't really cocky in this battle. Bede saying that he learned a lot of humility with Opal and that he's a different person now. But the battle continues. They're able to win against Shieldbert and knock Zamazenta out of its daze. Zamazenta is still very mad, thinking these people are its enemies, but noticing that the sky has returned to what it once was, he's incredibly mad, but he can sense the rusted shield in Hammerlocke, and he immediately heads there. This is when the girls are just finishing up beating Zamazenta, as they barely won, but they were able to knock it out of its dazed state. Zamazenta, being able to sense the rusted sword, immediately heads there. This is when Swordbird and Shieldbird, still mad at them, decide to challenge them with their own Pokemon. This is when Chase and Elaine say that they'll fight them one-on-one, having their teams healed by Hop and Marnie, respectively. As they fight Sword and Shieldbird, they have an amazingly intense battle, but these two have grown a lot and are able to best Swordward and Shieldbird. Sword and Shieldbird, incredibly embarrassed, are actually mad and noticing that they weren't able to do anything as they didn't stop a single Pokemon. This is when Chase and Elaine on both sides heals their Pokemon and asks if they can help them fight the Dynamax phenomenon, saying that even if they were villains, Galar is their home too, so they should fight for it. They agree to this and they all help fight Dynamax Pokemon here. This is when we can go back to Hammerlocke. This is when Ash, Lucas, and Rinto try to get to the top level to help Leon. This is when they're stopped by Rose and Oleana, respectively. Rose saying why would they want to stop this, as now limitless energy is capable for Galar, and now they have an overabundance of Dynamax energy in Galar now, all thanks to Eternatus, saying that Leon will catch it in time, and that he won't even have to use the secret weapon that they lost. This is when everyone calls out Rose, saying that his plan is ridiculous. Oleana gets mad, and a battle ensues between the three. But this is when the tall stranger steps in once again. AZ steps in to fight both Rose and Oleana, saying that he'll handle this, but those three should go up, as their friend Leon might be on his last legs. But hopefully, if Leon is worthy of the Pokemon that AZ gave him, he might be able to turn the tide. This is when we go back to Leon, fighting one of the hardest fights of his life, as he's dodging Eternatus' Dragon Breath, and his Pokemon are still trying to fight their hardest. However, his 3 Pokemon that he sent out are tragically exhausted. This is when Leon remembers the 3 Pokemon that he had, and sends out each of them, calling them out. This is when it's revealed to be Glastrier, Spectrier, and Calyrex. Leon is surprised that he would see this Pokemon again, as he did feel some sort of a connection to this Pokemon, but he didn't know what it was. Calyrex looks at Leon, and then he looks at Eternatus. Calyrex is able to join with both Spectrier and Glastrier to create dual Steed Calyrex. However, due to Calyrex's power of belief, not a lot of energy is going to him, and he's only barely hanging on. This is when Ash, Lucas, and Rinto finally pop out to the field and try to help Leon. They each send out one of their team members. At each time, Eternatus mills one of their team members. Even Pikachu and Pachirisu, 2 of their highest level Pokemon, get taken out. All Ash is left down to is Cinderace, Rinto's left down to Gallade, and Lucas is left down to Samurott, as all of them continue to fight the battle. This is when 2 Pokemon come in to shield the blow, this being Zamazenta uncrowned and Zacian uncrowned. They look towards Ash and Lucas and eventually grab their bag. They kind of thank Ash and Lucas for keeping their crowns safe and immediately turn into Crown Zacian and Crown Zamazenta. They end up fighting Eternatus, and it's an incredibly intense battle. However, they still aren't able to change the tide. It's believed due to Eternatus sucking up some of the energy from the Neo Ultimate Weapon, it ended up tripling his strength. Everyone is surprised by this, and this is when Rose and AZ have a conversation. Rose asking why AZ would want to stop this, saying that he caused the first ultimate weapon if he's not wrong. This is when AZ tells Rose to look at the chaos and disarray that he's caused. This is when Peony and Mustard come to help AZ, as Rose and Oleana, while AZ may be a tough battler, Rose and Oleana have some incredibly high level Pokemon on par with Leon's. This is when Mustard and Peony come to help out, as I just said, and they end up doing a 3v2, as this is when AZ takes off of the battle due to his Pokemon not being fighting fit, but this is when Peony and Mustard take over for him, and they end up defeating Rose and Oleana. Mustard and Peony chew out Rose, saying that he shouldn't have thought of this, and that maybe they could have summoned Eternatus, but tried summoning him in a docile state. Eternatus is enraged by the ultimate weapon, thinking that it would be a new place to call home, not trying to peacefully coexist with it, but more or less try to attract it violently, as that's what the ultimate weapon did originally. This is when we can flash back to Leon, as this is when Sonia makes her way up to the tower, and this battle is still incredibly intense, as even with the Crown Zacian Zamazenta, Dual Steed Calyrex, and all 3 of their strongest Pokemon, nothing's budging against this Eternatus, and Eternatus starts to Eternamax. This is when the situation gets really dire. This is when Sonia asks for everyone to cheer for them, actually streaming this on her phone, Everyone in the region is watching and seeing Calyrex. Calyrex, getting the belief of people wanting Leon, Ash, and Lucas along with Rinto to succeed, gains power. However, Ash, Rinto, and Lucas aren't out for the count yet, as each one of their Pokemon activates their abilities, this being Justified, Blaze, and Torrent respectively. Each of these Pokemon kind of have a thing where they're very competitive with each other, and seeing the other one get stronger encourages the other two to get stronger, and it keeps on stacking. This allows them to go on par with Eternatus, each of them taking out one of the heads. This is when Calyrex takes the last strike against Eternatus, and Eternatus is going down. This is when Leon finally throws his Ultra Ball from the game, ending up catching Eternatus. However, he notices that Eternatus didn't really put up a fight when it came to being caught. It was beaten, but most of the time Pokemon do try to put up one last stand. He notices that maybe Eternatus just really wanted a place to live, saying that maybe it was just looking for a home and that the light attracted it violently rather than like the ultimate weapon was. We tried to make it violent and tried to make it attack us. This was obviously the wrong thing to do. And Leon still chews out Rose. This is when Peony decides that he'll take over Macro's Cosmos for the time, while Rose pays for his crime, saying that he knows why Rose did this, as their father did die in a mining accident, and that he doesn't want that to happen to any kid either. That's why he thought he was helping Rose, trying to find a new energy source with Calyrex. But either way, Rose and Oleana are both taken away, but he says that Rose is a smart guy and he'll know the mistakes he's made. Swordward and Shieldbert also turn themselves in, and Zacian and Zamazenta are kind of smiling knowing that these two, while they were once misguided, do have a lot of honor. This is when both the group of Hop, Bede, and Chase and the group of Elaine, Marnie, and Peonia finally make it back to Hammerlocke. They're outside of the Hammerlocke gym. Everyone's sitting down kind of chilling along with the gym leaders, kind of talking about what they're going to do now. This is when Ash comes up with the idea of another festival like they had in Stow-N-Side. Leon saying that they don't really have the time for that, as it would take a lot of effort. Ash saying that he could do an event. Him, Lucas, and Rinto could probably do some event involving battling. Chase, Bede, and Hop are saying that they can help out with new trainers like Ash, Rinto, and Lucas did in the Sinnoh Festival. This is when Marnie, Elaine, and Peonia are saying that they can help out with an educational activity, as Elaine can talk about how the gym challenge works, Peonia could make some sort of lecture about fossil Pokemon, and Marnie could talk about the multiple cultures of Gallards and the difference between different towns and cities. Everyone is agreeing to this, but Leon still says that it's a lot of work and that they don't have a lot of volunteers. This is when a bunch of people from Winden offer to volunteer and saying that they want to help, as Gallard's their home too, and they want to make a lot of people smile. This is when all the gym leaders say that they will help too and that they will be staff, saying that they don't have anything scheduled for at least 3 months. Leon finally laments, saying that they still need a main event for at least a big festival here in Winden. This is when Ash comes up with an idea. Since Leon still has Calyrex and Zacian and Zamazenta are still sleeping, Ash has an idea. Leon confused at first, but then when he looks at Zacian and Zamazenta and then looking at his new Pokemon being Calyrex, immediately knows what Ash is planning to do. He wants to do the 2v1 that Leon asked if they wanted to do, but they didn't get to do it. Leon agrees to making this the special event of the festival. And that's the end of this episode of the Pokemon Sword and Shield series, Champions Road. I was thinking of originally making the Darkest Day into 3 separate episodes like I did with the DLC, or like I did with the Space-Time Distortion, but I figured that we could put the Darkest Day as kind of an episode within the League arc, as this is all taking place within the same arc, if you guys are really curious. Anyways, with that being said, Samurai out.